right. Thank you, Yenten. So the intrepid travelers, all of you who have been in the classes for the last several weeks, want to thank all of you for sticking with us and asking all of the good questions that you have asked in the individual classes thus far. And now that you have received the full list of teachings on the Nundro practice, the lamas are here tonight to answer any remaining questions you might have. Feel welcome to ask about any of the classes in the group, and if in the list. And if you have questions outside the list, you can also ask those as well. We may or may not be able to answer them. You have two ways to ask your questions. One is to use the raise hand function at the bottom of your screen. The other is to start typing into chat. And we will take your questions now. We'll begin with the Bodhisattva motivation, making the aspiration that during this session this evening, taking refuge in the Buddha as the teacher, the Dharma as the path, and the Sangha as the community. And all the awakened ones make that aspiration that this class will help us follow the Dharma more completely. Okay, let's see what questions we have for the lamas tonight. Who would like to start off? Questioners? You can tell us how your practice is going too. If you have any questions about the actual practice and doing the practice or how it's making you feel, fantastic. All right. Hey, David. Okay, David M. Thank you.
Turn off my video, audio. Hi. I want to start off just by saying thank you. I want to thank all the amazing teachers and lamas and khenpos and gurus and everyone who has helped present these teachings and make them available to us online. This whole Dharma Path series has been just a wonderful, wonderful series of teachings. I've gotten so much out of it. I do have a question. I don't feel ready to begin Nondro practice at this time. I'm finding it a little overwhelming, and I'm wondering if my own practice probably needs to become a little more stable, a little more reliable, maybe. Mm-hmm. I missed a lot of the last series on Lojong, and I'd like to, if those are still available on, on the class page to view, I'd like to go back and review those. Mm-hmm. So that's one thing. And also, I have not taken the refuge vow. Mm-hmm. So is it my understanding that is a prerequisite for beginning Nundro practice?
Okay, thank you for your questions, David. I appreciate your honesty. I think that so many of us launch ourselves into new practices without thinking too deeply. So I appreciate the fact that you're taking your time and considering things. And I'll go ahead and answer your second question, which is yes, it is necessary to have taken the Buddhist vow of refuge before you begin Nundro. So now that gives you some time to get that vow, to find, because I don't know where you live, but if you live within distance of any of the KTC centers or KTD, you'll be able to get refuge. Oh, that's great. Yeah. And so that will take care of it, because then what Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche said about the refuge vow is that he called it foundational and that everything else sits upon it. And so that's a great place to start. And I also appreciate you wanting to review the Lojong series. And Yunten, I have a feeling that you know where we can find those. So is that right? Oh, sorry, you're muted.
That might, whoops, I hit it.
Ah, very good. So there you go,
Link, there's a link in the chat now that gives all of the KTD playlists. So look for the Dharma Paths Mind Training playlist in that list.
Okay.
And it's about the second one, if I remember correctly. And you can take it from there.
Okay. And so let's get someone to address the rest of your question, David. Lama Losang, would you like to lead us off tonight on answering the other part of David's question, which is, kind of like how do you know when you're ready to get started?
Well, generally, we start, with our shamatha practice to stabilize our mind and make it workable. But there are still practices that can be done without taking refuge, which is the outer preliminaries, which is the four thoughts that turn the mind to Dharma. So that's a very important one. They're the outer uh, aspects of it, preliminaries. This precious, to contemplate this precious human life, impermanence, karma, suffering of samsara. This turns the mind to the Dharma, as it's said, and this gives you that momentum and motivation to continue your practice. So that is important. So once you have the stability of mind, then we can begin the outer preliminaries, and we talk about the inner or the uh, practices of Nundro, the refuge, which is it starts with refuge. So one needs to take refuge. It's very important to have had that formal coming onto the path, and I'm sure you're ready for that, David. So hopefully you can find an avenue to do that, and then begin the inner practices of refuge and prostrations, cultivating bodhicitta, which is important, and then the Vajrasattva practice, mandala practice, and Guru Yoga, which we've been talking about as we've gone through this Nidra series. So Lama Kathy, told you that yes, it is important to take refuge. So that's next up for you. But in the meantime, the preliminaries, both for Nundro and the 7 points of mind training, the Lojong, they all start with these preliminaries. So you can get a head start with that.
Thank you.
Yeah, can I add something here?
Sure can.
And that is on the 14th of December, 11 o'clock Central Time, I'm going to be giving a teaching on Zoom titled The Meaning of Refuge. And I will be giving a refuge ceremony after that, but I'm sure, David, you are too far away to attend the refuge ceremony, and it has to be done in person. But this would give you a good idea about refuge, what it means. And I'm on my cell phone, and I have a saying, which is I need to borrow a 12-year-old to figure out how to give you the link. And a 12-year-old isn't here right now. But if you go to the Hay River KTC website, you can find the link there, or you can email me. I have a simple email address. It's 108yeshe@gmail.com.
Okay.
And then I'll send you the link.
Where are you, David? Where do you live?
I'm in the Catskill Mountains of New York State. I'm about 40 miles from Woodstock.
Well,
Oh,
you're close by, so you do
Yeah.
have access. Have you been to KTD before?
I stopped by once to visit. I wanted to do the drop in for their meditation class, but
All right. Well, it's not unusual to get refuge. It's given often before any of the Yidam practices because that's your gateway. Is refuge. So the refuge is essential to going further. So that is next up for you, and you are pretty close then to KTD. And I encourage you to check out their schedule and see when Nindro or when the refuge is given. But any of the lamas can actually give it to you at KTD.
Probably
I
schedule in advance with the office. Yenten, did you have some advice about that?
was just going to jump in and say that it doesn't have to be a scheduled refuge ceremony. That's one of the regular retreat kind of events at KTD. You can schedule with a lama. If you were to drop by for Chenrezig practice some evening when Khepo Tenkyang's off there, you could ask him in person or go through the office to do it. As would be another alternative. That'd be office@kaju.org.
Yeah, and
Okay.
I just want to add, I stopped by KDD once, and look what happened.
Yeah, that happened to me too.
See there, you're in good company.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. David, did we address your questions?
Yes, you did. Thank you all.
Okay, fantastic. All right. Does anyone else have questions they'd like to put to the lamas tonight? Yes. Hi, Viviana.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm sorry I was late. Thank you, everybody, for these beautiful classes every week. I have learned so much. And I have a question I have is that I'm doing refuge and bodhicitta now in Nondro, and I took refuge with you, Lama Kathy. Thank you. Nice to see you, Lama Yeshe. And what happened is that I get like I see these all of right, the refuge and bodhicitta, the Vajrasattva, the mandalas, the Guru Yoga, and I said, when is it that I will be able to quote unquote finish? But every day, what's happening to me is that every day when I do my practice, it just is coming more. I started last year in March when I went to KTD, and it's so like drinking water. I need I need to do this. And I have my mala. And some of the things I heard in one of the classes was to go to refuge during the day, not necessarily like sitting and doing my things. And after I heard that, I've been doing that more and more. And sometimes I catch myself like in another world. So two questions. Is that okay that I feel that thing when I'm gonna be done? And second, is that normal that every day I wanted to more and more? Those two questions.
Okay, thanks very much, Viviana. Let's start off. Let's see. Let's start off with Lama Rob. And do you have would you like to start us off for the answer to Viviana's questions?
Sure. Those are good problems to have.
Yes, they are. Mhm.
They are. So yeah, there is essentially no like end to practice. It's just continual sort of refinement. It's good that you have a drive and interest in more practice and a thirst for it. That's actually very good. With a lot of people, it's harder for them to have that drive. So you're actually in really good shape. The only thing I would say is longer term, if it kind of evens out, that's okay. That's also part of practice too. Just try to be, consistent. Um, but yeah, it's what you're expressing. It's normal in a good way, or very elevated in a good way. A lot of times people have they have a lot of issues before they're willing to practice and let go. And you're willing to just kind of jump in and let go of that. So it's very good, I think.
One of the other questions you had was about how long it's going to take. don't worry, these are all standalone practices. So just beginning as you are with the prostrations and developing bodhicitta, that is, you could spend the rest of your life doing that, really. So just be present with your refuge prayers and the prostrations, and don't worry about finishing how soon it might be. Don't be in a rush. Be present with what you're doing every day. Reflect on the outer preliminaries, like we said, meditating on the precious human birth, the impermanence, karma, dissatisfaction of samsaric existence, and deepen the resolve and clarify your motivation. These are part of the that you should do, all the time. And then you begin your refuge and bodhicitta and spend time reaffirming the trust in the three jewels and generating the aspiration to benefit all beings, building up the proper attitude and intention for prostrations, settling the mind, with your shamatha practice. Those the common or outer preliminaries are very important. And then do as much as you can. If you have the aspiration, to do that, and it's hard for you to quench your thirst for doing it. That's great. That is not a problem. That is a blessing. So don't be in a rush. Don't worry about how long it's going to take, but be steady. Do it every day if you can. Try not to skip a day. Just make it part of your daily routine, and you'll be fine. You have the right attitude, and hopefully you have a good place to practice. Prepare the space, that you do your practice in, and you can imagine that refuge field in front of you in your shrine, and you're doing great. So continue.
Thank you so much. And I remember at the beginning, I was crying a lot. And I remember Lama Kati in one of the thoughts, and I don't remember who else, like to try not to pay too much attention and to move. And it still happened, but I'm being able to do that these things and try to. And I wanted to go to the retreat, but I would not be able to do it. I'm in Puerto Rico right now, but all of these classes has helping me a lot. So I want to say thank you, and thank you for answering my questions.
Yeah. Any of the other lamas have comments on Viviana's question?
I can't improve on what's been said.
I know it's I appreciate that.
Remember to dedicate your merit too. We always talk about review and dedication of your merit. At the end of the day, recall moments when you remember the refuge and bodhicitta and rejoice in them. And we all have lapses, and so don't worry, don't have the self-criticism. Oh, I should be doing more. Just do what you can, make it a daily practice, and dedicate all the positive actions, for the happiness and awakening of all beings. And you're right on track.
I remember something my first therapist told me. After every session, she would say the same thing: be gentle with yourself. And so, yes, which I just think is lovely, because I think one of the things that's happening in Nundro is that we're sort of getting a chance to re-parent ourselves in a way that's good for us. And, it's like the bumper sticker that I saw one time. It's never too late to have a happy childhood. So now we get a chance to, it's like a do-over for us. And so Dharma provides us with a lot of that. So thank you for your question, Viviana. And we have a question next in chat from Lindsay. Good evening, all. She writes, I thank you so much thank you so much for all involved in putting these classes together. It's a wonderful blessing to have access to these teachings. Now, question. When it comes to practice, what is the difference between experiencing something versus it being of the imagination only? For example, guru yoga or deity yoga. What is the difference between experiencing it versus only imagining it? Okay, I may have to ask a clarifying question, Lindsay. I hope you'll be okay with that. I think I understand your question, but I would like to get a little more clarification because my understanding is that visualization is a practice of the imagination. So Mingyur Rinpoche, for example, says that we use our imagination when we are visualizing Buddhas and Bodhisattvas and so on. So I'm curious as to if you could refine your question a little bit, since imagination is part of the practice. I'm trying to get at what you really would like to know. Can you help me, Lindsay? May I unmute? Yes, I think you can.
Yes.
Okay.
I just wanted permission before I unmuted. Thank you. The reason I phrased the question that way because it was actually phrased that way in another book that I was reading regarding the 6 yogas of Naropa. And shoot, I wish I could remember the author, but I can't offhand without going back into my phone. And I thought it was curious that he had phrased it in the way of experience versus imagination. And for me, I have a fairly vivid imagination. So when I imagine these things during practice, it comes fairly naturally. So for me, that is the experience. So I began to question, am I not experiencing something? Am I missing something other than what I'm already doing, which is, the imagination part and so on. I'm not sure if that clears it up at all.
I think it's a little clearer. Let's see. Lama Yeshe, did you want to start us off on this? Yeah.
Absolutely. This reminds me of a quote from the Buddha. And that is, this is the first verse of the Dhammapada. All that we are is the result of what we have thought. And so, to go on, all that we are is the result of what we thought. It is founded on our thoughts. It is made up of our thoughts. And so the difference between visualization and our imagination, I think, is an artificial line.
Okay. That makes more sense because I'm not sure if it was just something that may have been lost in translation as I was reading it, or I perhaps misunderstood because, for me, what I was imagining was, the experience of itself and the practice itself. So I couldn't, really make a distinction as to what could be beyond that. But your quote definitely put that into perspective for me very well.
Okay. And I'd like to add one thing, and that is that there is experience which is beyond thought.
Okay.
And that, since it's beyond thought, you can't put it into words.
Okay, so that may have been what was being referenced in the book that I was reading. And that makes more sense. And that actually definitely sheds some light onto that.
Okay, I'll let another Lama have something to say if they do.
Okay. Would anyone else like to add to Lindsay's question?
Lindsay, you're very fortunate to be able to be a good visualizer. Lots of people say they can't do that. And in the beginning, when we're doing the refuge tree and the refuge field or refuge tree that represents the Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha, lineage masters, say, you know what that tree looks like.
Mm-hmm.
It's very hard, to incorporate that 100%. But know that they're there and continue to do what you're doing. We're creating some mental muscle, as we continue the practice. So right now, I agree with Lama Yeshe. Just continue doing what you're doing. And the realization or the direct experience will follow. But it takes a little time.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Any other comments from the Lamas? Well, I have one word of caution. The word of caution I'd like to add is that Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche said that it would be better for people to not read too much about the 6 yogas of Naropa ahead of actually getting the transmission for the practices from your guru. That's just a little word of caution. Doesn't mean that it's a bad thing, but he recommended against it because he said if you read about too much about the 6 yogas in advance, he said it will kind of make it more difficult for you to actually absorb the blessing when they're finally taught to you. And he said, definitely don't try them at home. You know,
Oh,
yes.
no.
Yeah.
I just to make it very clear that was made very clear in the book, and I actually stopped partway through the book where it started muddying where I was currently at in my practice. It was getting to be beyond where I was at. So I actually stopped reading partway through, but yeah, I have no intention of trying the 6 yogas without proper instruction and direct instruction just from a text. I assure you that.
It sounds like your inner wisdom is guiding you well with that. So I'll leave it there. But I just had to share that in case other people were listening and were starting to think, oh, maybe I could get a book on that and start reading about it. He did recommend against it. In fact,
Yes.
he even recommended against reading too far ahead in The Torch of True Meaning. He said, the only problem with encouraging people to read the whole book, he said, is because if they read about Vajrasattva practice, that he said they may get so excited about it that they want to leave their refuge practice behind before they finish it. He said, so encourage people to take their time.
Very, very sound advice. And I've learned some of that the hard way in my earlier years as a Buddhist.
Thanks for
So
sharing.
and just an aside, I did kind of turn some of the advice from the previous classes, and I now believe I own 5 like biographies or autobiographies of the masters for inspiration, so I don't read ahead too much.
Thank you so much, Lindsay. Yeah, because that was Khenpo Rinpoche's advice to people doing Nundro is that if they want to have a reading outside of their practice, that the best thing to read would be all of the Namtars or complete liberation stories of the great teachers. So thank you. Thanks for giving a plug for that, Lindsay. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Lama.
Okay. Okay, so
Lama Kathy, there's a question that was before Lindsay's in the chat by
okay.
Brian.
Oh, I did not see that. Thank you for bringing me back to that. I did miss it. Okay, so the next question from Brian. Thank you very much, Yunten. Good evening, Khenpos and Lamas. Thank for all your great teaching about Nundro the last few weeks. I believe this has been asked and answered before, but that's okay. I think it always is good to do that, to check again. I believe this has been asked and answered, but just to double confirm that we can practice Nundro in English and gradually move to using Tibetan in later days. Is that correct? Also, do we have to complete one inner preliminary before starting another? I.e., do we have to complete all 111,111 prostrations before moving on to the purification of Vajrasattva? Lama Losang, would you like to start off the answer to this question?
Well, these are called preliminaries for a reason. We have to start to build our house of Dharma with the preliminaries. And that's where I was saying earlier, don't be in a rush. Complete it and look at if you are in a rush, look at that as just another thought and continue to do your practice. But I think, after you get to halfway through or 3/4 of the way through, you may be able to do that, but it will interfere with completing it. So when you start, with the Dharma, there's 2 obstacles. One is not starting, and the other one is not finishing. So once you start something else, you're liable to cause more obstacles for yourself if you do too many things at one time. So don't be in a rush, I would say. and complete it, and know that it is a wonderful practice in and of itself. You could just do prostrations and refuge and be fine. But that is not the entire Nundro practice. But when you're doing the refuge and prostrations, really dive into it head first and continue. So it is. Don't be in a rush.
Okay, thank you, Lama Losang. And regarding the starting the Nundro in English, that could have been down to something that my Lama told me. And what I need to say to the class in general, thank you for asking about this, Brian, is that everyone's Nundro supervising Lama, because there's always going to be a Lama out there who is going to be sort of your Nundro supervisor, helping you with questions and helping you with problems and so forth and so on. And the person who gives you the practice and teaches it to you the first time will give you some of the parameters. And based on what we have heard during these classes that we've done, all of the different lamas have different ways and different rules and parameters around these practices. So I'm just sharing. I just shared from my experience with Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche, who, when he was asked about this, if people could do Nundro in English, his answer was, "Well, if you're doing a repetition, such as repeating the refuge formula 111,000 times, or repeating it while doing 111,000 prostrations." He said you can do the first 10,000 repetitions in English, is what he told us, because I think we were like pushing him for a number. He said you can do the first 10,000 in English, but then he said it's important to transfer over to doing it in Tibetan so that you can have the blessing of reciting it in the language in which it was written. And I feel like that was his advice at one place in one time to one group of people. Maybe he said something different later, but that's what I've always advised people, is that it's fine to start out in English so that you can really internalize that meaning. But that eventually it is important to recite it in the language in which it was written so you can have some of the blessing from the Lama who wrote it. Okay, so other lamas, any of the other lamas have things to add to this, to Brian's question?
I do.
Yes, Lama Yeshe.
And I'll tell you what's been on my mind the last couple of days is interviews with the Lama. That it is very important to check in with the Lama from time to time, whether it's going smoothly or going rough, and to be honest with the Lama and to respect the Lama and realize that the Lama is there to help you, not punish you. That the Lama is there on your side. And it may not seem like it sometimes, but regularly check in with the Lama, even if it's to say, I did Nundro every day this month. Da, 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 da. The other thing is that I have a background in doing building. And I built the center, the building that the center is in here. And you need a foundation before you can build the walls. And if the foundation is 3/4 built, then you start putting the walls up, it's not going to work. So finish the first one, then do the second one, then do the third one. And there's a Zen saying that I like, which is hasten slowly. And so now I'll let somebody else have something to say if they have something to say.
Thank
So,
you, Lama Yeshe.
I might add that these are good questions to like start with whenever you receive the reading transmission from a particular Lama and you're thinking, okay, this is the Lama that I want to work with, is to ask some of these questions up front. One of the other ones to ask is also about their discipline as far as, well, what happens if I miss a day or I miss a couple days. In some cases, they may say you have to start from zero. And so if you're almost done with prostrations and you get sick, you're not able to finish, and now you're back at zero. So in some cases, people may want that level of discipline with a particular teacher because it's helpful for them and their psychology. And for other people, that might not be such a good idea. So I think asking some of these questions and getting some of these ideas sorted out before you start, because it can be kind of it can be a rough moment and you might lose your momentum. One of the reasons for the daily practice is over time you do develop momentum. Things get better and you can kind of feel it. And if you stop, the momentum stops. And then if you start up again, it's like feels like it's starting back from zero, and that just hurts. So whatever you do, whatever practice you're doing, you want to like continue to do it every day because you're developing that force, that momentum. Things are going well, even if you feel they're not going well. You're going through some obstacles. That's just some negativity that needs to be worked through. Some karma is ripening, and then to talk with the particular teacher and ask some of these questions that would impact you. One being, their discipline as far as if they miss a day or they miss a couple days, and then questions as far as reading ahead. They'd also like it's also covered in Mahamudra too, not to read into Mahamudra. You can start to develop ideas and opinions, and that becomes an obstacle because it's a meditation manual like that is written by a meditation master for other students and that are coming up, and you kind of have to have the linchpin of experience and connection to make it sort of work. And just reading a text raw that you picked up in the library or something you read online, it does not cause you to fixate on different opinions. So that was all.
Thank you, Lama Rob. I appreciate that. Okay. Yes, and one other thing I can add, and that is that I feel like just to kind of tie a little bow on what people have said just now, is that I think that part of what's happening in all of our practice, whether it's shamatha, lojong, or nundro, is that the practice is gradually changing us from within, and it's processing us. And Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche said, if you have problems in your life, or if you have problems at home, or problems at work, or problems just with practice itself, he said you can dedicate the practice that you are doing right now, if it's Nundro or Tara or Chenrezig or whatever, you can dedicate it to the relief of your problems. Like by doing this prostrations, may my worries and fears be calmed. May I have strength. May I grow in wisdom and compassion and so forth. He said you can actually aim your practice at whatever is on your mind. So just wanted to add that.
Lama Kathy, if I can add a note to what Lama Rob just said about the different rules for different teachers. My teacher is one of them that is very strict, and if you miss a day, you are at zero. I discovered that 37,000 into Vajrasattva and had to start again. And it was absolutely worth it. It changed me profoundly to say, okay, I will do this every day, and now I wouldn't dream of wanting to miss a day.
Thank you, Yunten. I appreciate you sharing your experience because I'm telling you, what's great about what you've commented on here, Yunten, is that it feeds right into Daniel's question. Our next question is from Daniel. You just like set that up beautifully, Yunten, and see, you didn't even know. Here it goes. Daniel asks, thank you to the Lamas for coming together for this Q&A. I am a student, he says, of Lama Losang here in Florida. Nundro has been my main practice for many years, and I am practicing every day as I aspire towards long retreat. Now, here's his question. I am wondering if there are any anecdotes, advice, or experiences which any of the lamas here tonight would like to share about their own relationship with the Nundro practice. So Yunten, you are right on schedule there, offering that. So let's see, Lama Rob, would you like to lead off on the answer to this question, please?
Sure. For me, I had to do Nundro before I did retreat, so that was kind of my driver was to finish Nundro to qualify for entering into retreat. So that was important there. I would say that if the person is new, the person has a job, other responsibilities they have to take care of. Most people are taking between 5 to 10 years to finish Nundro. So mentally block that off before you start. It's like, okay, am I ready to commit the next 5 or 10 years to practice this particular practice? Sometimes when people are newer, they're like maybe a little overly ambitious and they want to, like a kid in a candy store, this, and it's too much. So just something to keep in mind. I know with students that have been doing Nundro for 20 years, the 20-year Nundro students, the issue there goes back to momentum, like I was saying. So these are people that they stopped for maybe like a year or so and they start back up again. And it's like Nundro is to help you get going and use it for what it is, and just kind of, it's not like you need it for pointing out instructions for Mahamudra. And so sometimes people think it's like a gateway, like I'll just do this and I pass and then I'll move, it's like, no, it's it's preparing you, it's removing obstacles, it's helping you for the next level of practice. And I would say that if you do aspire to going into retreat at some time, the best general advice for retreat would be, do your best and not to have too many expectations. The people that had the hardest time tended to have the biggest expectations or goals, and people that did okay were kind of like, I'm gonna do my best. So.
Thank you, Lama Rob. Would any of the other lamas like to chime in on this?
Well, I happen to know Daniel's story, and he had started Nundro earlier, and the retreat master, Lama Tsultrim, said, do it again. So he's in the process of completing it at least a second time. And that will put you in good shape when you're in retreat, because as was said, that's how you're going to start retreat. So you're going to be in fine shape, and he has been accepted for the next retreat. So you will be in that position. And what you're doing right now, what Lama Tsultrim suggested to you, he's looking out for you. So, and as I said earlier, the problems are not starting, and the second one is not finishing. So, to have the opportunity to do that, these foundation, as Lama Yeshe said, this is the foundation. So we want to have a strong foundation. And for you and for all of us, the lamas have gone through this. That's how you start, but you do it in record-breaking time. So having had that experience will put you in good place for that. It had been a while since I had done retreat, and starting retreat, I had done Nundra before entering retreat. Kind of haphazardly in a way, and it was not the same when I hit the ground running in retreat. So you will be in better shape than I was when you enter your retreat. So kudos. Continue.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama Losang. Lama Yeshe.
Yes, well, I want to say this, that I heard this very early on in my Nundro career, which is a prostration is never wasted.
All right.
Secondly, in retreat, I had undiagnosed Lyme disease, and my feet swelled up. I lost feeling in my feet for a while. I felt like I was walking on air. Uh, but of course, I wasn't. I was walking on the floor. And I had numerous other problems, even my hands swelling up like Mickey Mouse hands. And so I talked to Khenpo Kartra Rinpoche, and almost all of my prostrations for Nundro in retreat were done standing up and visualizing myself doing them. And the Lyme disease followed me through the whole retreat. And it was one, it is in a way, it was an aid to the retreat, but it brought up all kinds of issues. And so you never know. But what I like is the phrase that I heard very early on when I first started with the Vajradhatu group, and that was about Mahayana using the manure of our experience. And I live in a rural area, and manure is a resource. And so no matter what arises, if you're skillful, you can see it as a resource and use it to grow spiritually.
Okay. Thank you so much, Lama Yeshe. It's great to hear from you on this. And I'll add just a little bit to it. I appreciate Lama Rob, especially what you had to say about the time frame and the 5 to 10 years. I have met people who have finished Nundro after 20 years, so it's kind of a thing. And I appreciate what Lama Yeshe had to say just now, and then also what Lama Losang had to say about becoming processed by your Nundro practice. And the more you do it, the more you get processed. And I totally agree with all of that. In my own personal experience, I was very excited to start Nundro. I was 23 years old at the time I started, and it did take me 5 years to finish. I was in a bit of a hurry, like has been mentioned already. Some people are a little bit too gung-ho. So but at any rate, I did finish in the 5 years. But I think the thing that helped me the most was that bit of advice from Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche to use the Nundro practice to aim your practice at what you feel are your biggest problems, and to ask for the practice to be a remedy for your biggest problems. And also, the other thing that I think in terms of advice toward the long retreat is I love what Lama Rob and others have said about not having too many expectations. And I think that's really, really important, because Khenpo Rinpoche said something interesting to me right before the 3-year retreat. He came to my room and he said, what are all these books doing here? I told this story actually once before in this class, so sorry it's a repeat. He said, what are you doing with all these books here? And I said, well, I kind of have the ambition to read them all while I'm in retreat. And he said, this is not a vacation. He said, not a vacation. Retreat is not a vacation. He said, the only reason that you should be here, he said, is because there are sentient beings out there who are suffering intensely and they need you. So I feel like that it's never too often to say that we're not in the retreat to get a title. We're not in the retreat to get any kind of status. We're in the retreat because beings are suffering and we want to emulate the compassion that our teacher had for us. We want to emulate that and become a source of goodness and guidance for other beings. When we finished the 3-year retreat, Khenpo Rinpoche gave a little talk to us all, and different people came away from that talk with different ideas. And I checked with a couple of people there, and they did not hear what I heard. So that's kind of like maybe I was delusional. But here's what I heard him say. I heard him say that traditionally in Tibet, when someone graduates from the 3-year retreat, they're given the title of Lama. Now, what does this mean? He said, this means that from now until you die, you have one function and one function only. And he said, that is to connect everyone you meet with Dharma. And it didn't mean that we're supposed to like go on the street corners and preach, not like that. But the idea is that we should have the heart of compassion toward all the beings that we see and encounter. And even if we can't help them directly, to be disposed toward them with love and compassion. So that's something that kind of, that was something that stuck with me. So anyway, thank you.
Can I add one thing?
Oh, yes, sir.
Probably 6 months before the retreat started, maybe a year, I had an interview with Rinpoche, and I had second thoughts about the retreat. And I asked him, am I ready for retreat? His answer was very simple. It all depends on your motivation. That's a direct quote.
Really appreciate that. Thank you, Lama Yeshe, because that's really it. He kept reiterating that, didn't he? Over and over again, that whether we succeed or don't succeed, it depends on our motivation, right? Whether things, even if we can take everything every obstacle we have, if we can take it as purification of negativity. But he also said, if you have if you have a problem, talk to me about it. Tell me what's wrong. It's kind of like what you were saying earlier about the interviews with the Lama Yeshe, it's like he said, don't just assume that I know. Don't just assume that, it's nice that you have the idea that I know what's on your heart. He said, but it's much better that you tell me directly if you're having a problem or a challenge. So that's another piece of good advice.
Lama Kathy, add one quick little anecdote experience. Sure. And that is that one of the questions that we all have starting Nundro is, why 111,111? And what I discovered somewhere around 80,000 was I understood why. And I can't put it into words, but I think that's part of the experience.
Thank you. No, I appreciate that. I mean, I know the technical reason why 111,111, because in the old days, people just did their preliminaries with their guru, and the guru told them when to stop, when they were done, when they were fully cooked, you know. But then when the 3-year retreat was invented, the ninth Karmapa had to make a cutoff, and so it was. But so it was 100,000, but then there were what they called the fulfillment mantras, 10,000 for the 100 and 1,000 for the 10,000 and so on. But I like your observation that somewhere along the line, when you get there, you'll know why. So I really appreciate that.
Can I tell a story?
Sure, you may.
Okay, in my retreat, there was one man that was extremely good with math. And so, as Rinpoche was saying, 111,111, then they were talking about how many beads there are on a mala. And this got into very, very complicated back and forth. And finally, Rinpoche just said, "You, 120,000.
Thank you, sir.
He's trying to weasel out of a few of the.
I appreciate that. Thanks for sharing. Say, Will has typed his questions into chat, and so Will, is it okay if I start by just reading them? Okay,
Yes,
great.
thank you.
Yeah, because we have about 30 minutes to go. We may actually this may
I'm
be the
sorry to
last.
ask for questions. I really am, but yes, thank you.
Hey, appreciate the well. See, these are all good questions. None of them are clunkers. Will, in fact, I believe that there's no such thing as a silly question. So you're right on as far as I'm concerned. There's no such thing. So here we go. Question number 1. Thank you all. Exceptional teachers here for this sequence of classes and for this opportunity. I am not able to attend the upcoming Nundro retreat, but I'm coming to KTD in person on December 6th for the one-day shamatha retreat. I would like to meet one-on-one with Khenpo Karma Tenkyong is the day before or after, or should I email the office? Yinten, did you have any further advice for Will on this?
I think that would be an excellent idea to email in advance.
Okay, that's OFFICE
Thank you.
at Kagyu, KAGYU.org. But of course, now you know what you're getting into, Will. Based on, Lamas will have different rules. We'll see how it goes. Yeah. Oh gosh. Okay, excellent. So, second question, should we keep a small shrine? Oh yeah. How important is the shrine, small or large, for these practices? Oh, let's just dive right into that. Lama Losang, you're up next to start us off. Would you like to answer that question for us?
Yes,
I'm sorry. There's also a 2B. By the way, William, this is fantastic. You're really good at like zeroing in on a question. I was a professional writer for many years, and explaining things was my deal. So thank you for making point A and point B. I'm happy about this. I'm a nerd for this stuff. Point B is if we practice away from our main practice place, should we bring any small shrine item with us? Okay, that's really cool. Lama Losang, you want to start us off on this?
a shrine is good to have representations of the three jewels in particular, the Dharma, the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha. Often you'll see aspects on the shrine of the image of a Buddha. It can be a tonka. It doesn't have to be elaborate. And in a shrine, as you see at KTD, there are offering bowls that you do to cultivate your generosity and to continue to purify your pride, to foster humility, that builds foundation, of connection to the three jewels and compassion for beings. All these things that may be demonstrations of that in an objective kind of way on your shrine remind you That's so that it's good to have those reminders, and it brings your mind to the Dharma. It's just kind of a skillful means. So yes, having a small shrine, and it doesn't have to be elaborate, but you're meditating with your mind, so that is the most important thing. I often, some of you know that when I started, I was a bartender. And I used shot glasses for my 7 so-called bowls, and that was more messy than it was. I had more water on my shrine than I did in the bowls. But at any rate, it is important for you to cultivate this idea of generosity and that shrine. If you empty the bowls at night and you fill them in the morning, this is all part of skillful means. So attending to the shrine is a practice in and of itself. So it is just, again, a skillful means. And, if you're away from your shrine, yes, you can have an image of the Buddha, but you have that in your mind stream, and you can just imagine the Buddha is there with you and giving you that blessing. So is it absolutely mandatory? No. Does it help? Yes. And having a place just like anything else where you do your practice. We eat, in the dining room, we sleep in the bedroom, we meditate in that place that is conducive to that. And again, it doesn't have to be elaborate, but when you go to that spot, it has a certain blessing that goes with it from the practice that you do, and it creates the auspicious circumstances for your practice. So I definitely recommend having a shrine in your house in a good place, and you go there, and that's where you do your practice. And it should be clean, and it should be a place. We say, feng shui. This is a good place, and it generates the qualities of devotion and well-being. So do that, and hopefully that answers your question. But we may have other lamas that want to add to that.
Thank
I
you.
believe it does. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Lama Losang. Hey, anyone else like to add to Lama Losang's answer for Will?
So, I might small addition. The as far as the small or large, a lot of this has to do with what works well for you as a practitioner. People have different means. If you don't have a lot of resources to put into the shrine, you shouldn't feel like less or anything like that. Just as the other direction, if you do have a lot of resources and build out a fantastical shrine, not to develop, a lot of pride around that either. So it should be inspiring to you, what works for you, what inspires you. When you sit down there, you kind of feel it, and having it actual a location that you go to all the time helps to build a habit. When just like the habit of, you sit in the morning or afternoon, whatever your normal sit time is, your mind will start to go there just when that time occurs. Just like when you physically sit there in the shrine, your mind will start to settle and go there. It's like, okay, we're going to meditate now. So it has that impact. As far as bringing like an item on the road or just visualizing it, again, it goes back to you. What works best with you? Will like a small like Chenrezig statue be helpful for you? Or do you just want to visualize? And then the practicality of, are you a business person that's traveling all the time? That's not practical. Or so it's an individual thing. It's meant to inspire you and inspire your practice. So lean into whatever inspires you and helps you.
So
Great, thanks.
generally, we have our pecha with our texts in there, and you can have in that text pictures of your teacher, of the Buddhas that are just tucked into your pecha as well. So when you travel, you want to, if you're gone, particularly for extended periods of time, if in your text you can have just small pictures that remind you, of the 3 jewels of your teacher, and turn your mind again to the Dharma.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Lama Losang. Any of the other lamas have answers to his 2A and 2B? Okay. Well, then we'll go on to number 3. And then I do want to cover number 4, Will, because it's a real important question. By the way, the only thing I would add to that is I asked Kempo Rinpoche, now, do I have to make offerings in front of my shrine every day? And he's like, do you eat every day? Do you drink water every day? So I loved his kind of tough love approach. That was kind of sweet.
Yeah, I think I could even say that based on the last answer, that it sounds like making water offerings is a thing in and of itself that can be continuous while you're doing Nundro. It's
Now,
not like explicitly part of Nundro.
Now,
So,
here's what I have to say about that. I actually have a couple of things to say about that.
okay.
One more thing about the shrine. If you have consecrated images on your shrine, that's a statuary that has been filled and blessed. Those statues are really super special if you can get one, because what some people do is they'll buy a regular hollow statue and then give it to a lama to fill and bless. Because what I was told by Kempo Karthar Rinpoche is that often a small relic pill is placed inside and a little bit of Dharma teaching is put inside, or Lama mantras put inside, and this kind of thing. So then, like he said, that in that way, he said the statue becomes a representative of the Buddha and is capable of blessing you. And if you do your practice in front of that, it's like supercharged. And if you make aspirations in front of it, it's like making an aspiration in front of the Buddha personally. So that's kind of a cool thing. Now, I will start the answer on water offerings, because here's the dealio. I got a question for you, Will, and that is, are you speaking of the ritual water offerings that are spoken of in the Gelugpa Nundro tradition? Because in the Gelugpa preliminaries, they have you take bowls, and then you incense them, and then you place them on the shrine, and there's a ritual way you pour the water, and that you can offer many, many, many water bowls, and that part of their Nundro practice is offering water bowls. Is that what you're talking about?
Um, Not necessarily in that way, because I've made a commitment to be in Kagyu in general. But I was taking refuge in May and I was in Sikkim. I think I mentioned this in the last session. And I brought home some texts with me and different things. They were talking about the importance of this, and having put a very small, modest shrine right in my home to practice. I started with the water offering just because it seemed so naturally evident to do it. So, yeah. But of course, I did that in no connection to a formal way of doing it. So,
Okay. So
yeah.
so you were filling one bowl with water. Is that what you did every day? Like fill one bowl?
I was filling 7 bowls to the rim and then emptying them at night, and like that, I had a basic sense for it. But I just was hoping to see, hey, I should continue this, and it should go part of Nundro, I guess.
Here's the dealio. I think it's great to do it every day of your life.
Yeah.
Because that's why I think, because Kempo Rinpoche introduced that to us as well. When we first took refuge, he said, look, once you've taken refuge, if you can have an image of the Buddha in your home, that's wonderful. And if you can then also make offerings to that Buddha every day, that's wonderful. He said, you don't need to have the elaborate shrine like they have at the Dharma Center here, he said, with all the different bowls of rice and water and that kind of thing. He said, you don't need to do that. He said, you could just have 7 bowls of water. And he said, water is actually kind of perfect as an offering. He said, because, you can't get pride about it. It's like, oh yeah, I offered great water. So he said you can definitely do that water offering, and that is something that I personally aspire to be able to continue doing my whole life. But make it small enough that you can do it easily. So instead of getting
Yes, very much so. Yes, it's very modest. Yes.
And modest is good. I actually have some bowls, water bowls that are like 1.5 inches across. So yeah, I think that's super. Because the other thing,
Go ahead. Sorry.
the other thing about water offerings is that there's actually a water offering for the pretas, for the hungry ghosts as well. And I wanted to make sure you were not asking about that. Okay. Lama Losang, yes.
So when you're filling those bowls, they all represent a particular thing, whether it's drinking water, foot washing water, food, incense. But when you do that, know what you're doing in that way and what those offerings are, and imagine it all the mountains of incense. It may be it's the incense bowl, but your mind says, I'm offering you all the food, and you can imagine just masses of food, masses of flowers, masses of incense. And so don't limit yourself. You're only limited by your own imagination in that way, but know what each of those bowls are, and in your mind stream, you offer that in that way.
Thank you. I like that explanation because it seems somewhat rules based sometimes, but what you're saying is very imagination, visualization based, and the rules are
Yes.
just the method, so that's a nice way of thinking about it. Yeah.
Yes. Be mindful when you're filling those bowls.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. Oh, thank you so much, Lama Losang. So let's see, we have one more question. One more question here from in the list from Will, and this is an excellent question. Yeah, instead of counting a practice, like I take it, Will, that you're asking about Nundro, right? Instead of counting your prostrations, instead of counting your Vajrasattva mantras and so on, are you asking if you can time them instead and just do them by hours or minutes? Is that what your question is?
Well, so I guess, yeah, in a roundabout way, if one becomes very understood that in 1 hour you get this many done, and in our lives we're always we're offering this much time to this, we're offering 45 minutes to that, and we can consistently find this. As a person who's not accustomed to counting that way, of course I should become accustomed to counting that way, but then there is this other way, and I'm wondering how in 2025 how this is like dealt with from you guys are mentoring, right? So how are you intending to project this type of counting? So
Lama Yeshe, would you like to start off our answer on this question?
Well, the beads are a form of mindfulness that you're at the end of each repetition, you move a bead, and that keeps you focused on the mantra. And I do not think that I think it'd be easier to wander if you're not using the beads to bring your mind back to what you're doing. I've never heard anyone say that you could just time it. And
yes, I mean, I do have a mala, so it's more just a question of knowing well, an hour is certainly this many. Is that one way of counting, really, I guess, is to say.
yeah, definitely use the mala.
Okay.
And I want to add something that was said earlier about the water offering bowls and how you can't get a lot of pride offering water because it's essentially free. I once had a Buddhist practitioner tell me this with a grin on his face. And it was, I used to be proud that I wasn't arrogant. And I'll just end there.
The other thing about counting is there are little counters that you put on your finger, and you hit the button and it counts for you. Or some people use pennies when they're doing their prostrations and move a penny. Or there's lots of ways to do it even besides a counter. But it is important that you count because we are counting our repetitions. or our,
Yes.
so do keep track of that.
So you keep a journal and then you take a note in there and such.
That's right. You
Or
can do it
whatever
like that.
works the best.
That's
Yeah.
right. There are counters on the beads too. There are counters that you have. One usually has a vajra, one usually has a bell. One counts up to 100, and after 100, you move the other one, and you can count like that. It's a particular method for counting. If you have a mala and you have these counters on your mala as well, but there are various ways to count. Whatever is easiest for you, but keep track.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate it.
No, thank you so much for these questions, Will. It's really appreciated.
I can't confirm that this happened, but I was told that during an interview with a woman, Rinpoche said, "How many have you done so far, Nundro?" And the woman said, "Well, I do about this many an hour, and I've done this many hours." And he said, "Yeah, are you actually counting?" And she said, "No." And then he said, "Then you're at 0." I don't know. I cannot confirm that actually happened, but I was told that happened.
It is unsurprising. I totally understand what you're saying.
Thank you, Will, for your questions. They're good ones.
Okay. Also wanted to make a note in the chat. I just put a link to a short teaching that Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche gave about the meaning of the 7 offerings on the shrine. And in addition, and Yuntin, I bet you're going to be able to find this for me pretty quick, which is Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche's transcript on a teaching on the shrine. Is that
Yes.
still available? Yeah, if you wouldn't mind putting that in the chat for me. You could find that at Namse Bangsa bookstore. And then this will help answer the question of the next questioner. I see that Kathleen has a question. We still have a little time, so here we go. When, her question is about creating a shrine and placing objects on the shrine. Where do the images or statues of the protectors go on the altar? I have gurus and Buddhas on the top shelf and have put the protectors on the shelf beneath them. So I think that's what you meant by beneath. Yeah, okay. Let's see. So we're back to the top of our oh no, I'm sorry. We're starting with Lama Rob on this one, if I remember correctly. Unless I started you off on the last one.
As far as the specifics, I haven't gotten too much into the wrathful protectors on a shrine. As far as the gurus and the Buddhas, the top shelf, yes, as far as location. I haven't put any sort of because the protectors are not necessarily realized beings. They can just be beings that have committed to protect the Dharma practitioners or protect the Dharma itself. So I don't know that I'd put them on the shrine. If it's being like if you were doing Mahakala practice or something like that, then that is a deity Yidam practice. So
Thank you. Thank you, Lama Rob. Other lamas have things to add to this.
Yeah, it depends on how elaborate you want to be in your shrine room. It's not unusual to have another small shrine to the protector. I mean, if we're talking about Mahakala, but that is a more of an advanced practice and for the time being. But you definitely having on your shrine the 3 jewels. That is primary.
Thank you, Lama Losang. Let's see. Oh, yeah, very good. Kathleen, I can just comment. When I was in 3-year retreat, we had a shrine in the main shrine room. And if I remember correctly, it did have protectors statues on it. somewhere, but I can't remember where. I'd have to look at a photo and see precisely what shelf they had them on. But this transcript that I'm asking Yunten to share from Namse Bangso, it's called A Teaching on the Shrine by Khenpo Karthar Rinpoche. He, I believe, specifically says where the things should go.
Yeah, there's usually 3 tiers, and yes, that's a very good thing to look at. Thank you. Yeah.
And there and I will have to dig through my I have this huge collection of PDFs of various things. There was an article that was drawn, a short article that was basically based on Khenpo Rinpoche's longer transcript that actually did talk about this. And I can't put my hands on it right now. But we'll see if we can find, if I find it, we'll put it on the class page. Does that sound good?
I'm afraid I was unable to find that at Namsi Bangso. I just did a bunch of searches.
Then I have an illegally obtained copy of it, and I don't know that I should share it. What do you guys think? Am I going to get in copyright trouble?
I think it may be out of print, and I mean, it was out there, so
yeah, okay. In that case,
it would be good to have it. Yeah,
I got it. Hang on. This is the purpose of Dropbox. That's all I can say. Hang on here a second. Well, here, okay, SHRINE. Okay, here we go. Let's see what because somebody actually gave me a copy of it. And so here is the link to my Dropbox on this. Sorry, it's a gargantuan long thing. A Teaching on the Shrine by Khenpo Karthar. This thing is really old, so.
Yeah, we have one here too, and I have it somewhere as well. But it is a very well written, and it does explain the shrine, and it would be certainly appropriate to take a look at that.
Placement of different things. So yeah.
Lama Kathy, it's asking me to sign in, and I don't use Dropbox, so I don't.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah, it's also not showing up for other people. Oh, poo, as Mother used to say. I will work on making it available to folks. Yunten, you and me, maybe we can circle back to each other and find another place to put it. Okay. It used to be resident on the KTD website because I did have an old link for this file on KTD web, but it's not there now. So I will find a way. Oh, I just have another idea. I could get it boosted to the Columbus KTC Dharma downloads page. Oh, I didn't say that in front of everybody, did I? Okay, so
it could also could conceivably be put on Google Plus or Google Drive rather,
Google Drive, yes.
Without a requirement. Anybody who has a link can go to it.
Okay, so yeah, sorry for the frustration you feel on this. I will find a way to make it available to you in a way that you can download it easily. I'll probably put it up on the Columbus KTC website on Dharma downloads, and then they'll be able to go grab it. Okay. Oh, Will has another question. Final question. In last week's class, you spoke from an abbreviated practice outline. Could you share this document in the class page? Uh-oh. See, this is the problem of being old. I forgot what I did. You spoke from a brief.
I think he's referring to your notes from last.
Oh, you mean I didn't send those, huh? Okay, well then I will endeavor to find them. Thank you for asking about that, Will, because I forgot I did it. Stand by. Oh, there it is. Duh. Yes, I found it, and let's create that PDF like right now. Yeah, goodness gracious. I really appreciate you asking about that. Because I'll make that a PDF tonight and we'll get that up. Yeah, okay. All right, we'll make that happen for you. Thanks again. I'll do that right now. Okay, well, that takes us to the bottom of the hour. We did it.
Thank you, everyone. Yes.
I'm
Thank
incred-
Very good questions. Good questions.
So I want to say thanks again to all of you for taking the class and to sort of whet your appetite. The next class that will be, we're going to give you a break for the holidays, for the Western holidays of Thanksgiving and Christmas. And then we will see you in January. The Dharma Paths team will see you again in January, I believe on January 7th.
January 7th, it starts. Yes.
It's going to be a class on mantra and deity practice. I forget, how many weeks is it? I wrote the outline and I forgot.
It starts January the 7th and ends. That's a good question.
10 weeks later. So
Yeah.
So yeah, and we're going to talk all about creation and completion practice, and I think it will be fun.
March 11th is
Hey,
the last one. The last one ends again with question and answers on March 11th. So, yeah.
as they used to say on the radio, be there or be square. So thanks. If you know what that means, you are as old as me. So everyone, please dedicate the goodness of this session to all sentient beings. Make the aspiration that through listening and studying the Dharma and practicing Dharma, that we're able to liberate not just ourselves, but all sentient beings. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, Yunten, host with the most.
And thank you, Lama Kathy.
Yeah. Okay.
Bye-bye.
Okay. Om Mani Padme Hum.
Thank you all. Bye.